Hey everybody, I'm Anjalina and we're here over the next few weeks with Molly discussing none other than spices. And I think it's going to be really interesting for everybody just because, if you haven't used spices before in your kitchens, now is the time to do it. Now the thing with spices is that a lot of people are unfamiliar with the variety of spices. Many people that I've asked have said that their spices in their kitchen are just black pepper and salt, which is fine as well. But I think we need to amplify our range slightly. We need to come up with things which are a little more colorful and vibrant, because that is part of us feeling better in general. We need to understand that with food and with nourishment, a lot of it is coming through us and we work with our eyes. So I think it's really important that we understand that and we recognize that. So the other thing about spices, I feel, is that we must understand how to combine them well and how to prepare them properly. And once we have that basic understanding, from there, things are definitely much easier. The correct preparation and combination can help us to balance our digestive systems out, even without realizing it. So it's just a little bit of information that I wanted to give you for the next few minutes, because I think it's something that can be quite helpful. And you may be wondering what this is. Many of you may know what it is, many of you may not. But this is a typical Indian spice box, and we're gonna zoom in so that you can see it a bit closely now. This is a traditional Indian spice box, or as they call it in India, Masala Dabba. Now, just like Ayurveda was an Indian science, it is an Indian science that was created in India over 5,000 years ago. It's not necessarily just for Indians. And in that same respect, the spice box, even though it comes and its origins are from India, it's not just for Indians. So I encourage you to get one of these if you can, because it is a great way to store your spices, first of all. And it just makes sense for us to have the ones that we use on a regular basis. So these are what I use, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about each one, very briefly, of course. And then we're going to get into more details as the weeks go by, when we will actually be using these spices in different recipes. So as you can see, we have 7 spices over here, which are the 7 main spices that I use regularly. Now, you may know this one, so we're going to zoom in here. This one is this lovely, bright, sunshine yellow, and this is our ever-beloved turmeric. Now, turmeric basically is what I call the wonder spice. It is also what I call the anti-spice, but anti in a positive way. So as you may already know, it's antiviral, it's anti-inflammatory, it's antibacterial, it's antifungal, it's an antioxidant, and most of all, it's an anti-inflammatory. Okay, so for me, turmeric is one of the key spices that if you haven't started with any in your kitchen yet, that's the one you need to go for, okay? And the reason we keep it in the central area of our spice box is something that I learned from my Ayurveda teacher. And she's always told us that just as, the earth revolves around the sun, our Agni, or our digestive fire, also does the same. And because turmeric has taken on the color of this beautiful sun, all other spices need to revolve around it, and our food needs to revolve around it too. So there are many ways we can incorporate turmeric into our meals, which is something that I will definitely be showing you in the next few weeks. But just for you to know that turmeric has all these wonderful properties, and it is so good for the skin. It is also a great anti-stress herb or spice. So I feel that for our mental health, it does keep our anxiety, and it does hinder depression also. So it's one of those spices that I feel is a happy spice, and you can't really do without it. So go get some turmeric. The next one I wanted to talk about is a very common spice as well, and I'm going to let you have a look at this closely now. This is jeera. So this is cumin. These are cumin seeds, as you can see, and you might be familiar with them. These are mega digestives, okay? They prevent flatulence. They're very rich in iron, and they are sort of anti-bloating. So these are also really, really good for you when you're looking for something to help you along to aid digestion. And when we use lentils and legumes, it's one of the key spices that we use in our cooking, especially for that, because that relieves us of some of that gassiness that you may experience when you are having too many of these legumes or lentils, especially those of us that have a vegetarian or vegan diet. So cumin is definitely a major part of that. The seeds and the powder as well. So we also, what we do is we roast the seeds, and what we do is we grind them. So roasting them enhances the flavor, brings out their essential oils and their aromas, and then we can grind them down to a powder, just like this, yeah? And another very important spice for us, or rather a seed, because you have to understand that all spices come from seeds, right? So this is the coriander seed. Now I'd like you to have a closer look at that. It's a very beautiful seed. The taste of this coriander seed is unlike the taste of fresh coriander. So you must understand that I do come across a lot of people that aren't too crazy about the taste of fresh coriander, but the flavor of the seed is entirely different. It has a citric flavor. It's got very cooling backgrounds and notes to it. It's got a little bit of sweetness too. So it's calming, it's sweet, it's perfect if you have high pitta and it's heat. It's when it's really hot in the summertime. This is one spice that is for us during the summer all the time. So we can use this in everything that we're cooking. We can use it in the fresh form. It's just great also to get rid of those heaty sort of like acidity, or if you're suffering from heartburn, things like that. So coriander in that sense works really, really well. And it's a great partner with cumin also. So we use that in seed form and of course in powder form as well. And another thing here that I have that is perfect for the summertime are fennel seeds. Now fennel seeds, you may know this, in Hindi we call them sauf. This is something that we chew after our meals. It's a very typical sort of tradition or habit that we have. And the reason we do this is because it is a mega digestive aid. It really helps us to begin to break down our food in an easier way. It also has a sweet element to it. So if you have a craving for something sugary after your meal, having a little bit of fennel seeds to chew on after that will curb that. And you'll see that it will also aid in your digestion. So it helps in both ways. So what we do is we also have this sort of fennel, cumin and coriander tea that we make, which is a great digestive tea, but I will give you more tips on that in our next video. So fennel is something that I would really recommend that you grab and you put that in your spice pantry as well. A couple more things that I have here. I've got some homemade ground garam masala. Now garam masala is a mix, it's a blend. So masala in general is a spice blend, okay? Garam in Hindi means heat or hot. So what we want to understand by this is it's quite a warming blend, okay? So at the moment in summertime, it's not something that I would recommend that you use very much. However, if you are combining it with heaty ingredients, for example, if you do eat meat, or if you are eating sort of vegetables which require a bit more help for digestion, like nightshades, for example, which is something that we try to tend to avoid in the summer anyway. But if you must have them, and if you would like to have them, then garam masala is a great way to accompany them, because it does have all these wonderful properties to help you to digest. Garam masala is a combination of different spices, which I will show you right now. But just for the last one that I have here in the box is red chili powder. Now, red chili powder has been said to be really, really good for the bloodstream and for the heart. Obviously, in excess, it's very, very heaty. If you have too much pitta, you need to avoid chilies, of course. But if you are of kapha nature, it's also very good for you because it enhances and it just kind of stimulates your Agni a little bit more. I would say use it in moderation in general with chilies, because each one has their own tolerance level, and it's something we need to be a little bit careful of. We don't want to burn out our systems on the inside, because that can cause ulcers and acidity. So we need to go easy on the spice, on the chili. Having said that, spices in general, if you remove this from the spice box, you'll see that none of these have that chili sort of burning factor that the red chili does. So all of these spices are really great for you. Just a few more that I wanted to cover that I use, because I want to show you what I generally use all the time, is black mustard seeds. Now, black mustard seeds are a very common seed that we use in South Indian cooking. And what a lot of people don't know is they are anti-inflammatory as well. So it's great because they're antiviral, anti-inflammatory, and it's something that we use a lot in our khichdi when we make. It's something that we use a lot with vegetables. It's very light. It's a very refreshing seed. You have to know how to use it and work with it, which is something, again, that I can show you. Yeah, so this is one seed that I tend to use a lot. Then we have some other spices, which are, I'm going to set this aside for a second. There's such a huge world of spices out there, but these are just a few that I wanted to cover. Now, you probably know of the famous Masala Chai, right? Now, chai is tea, masala is sort of like a spice mix, and we have many variations of masala chai. Many, there are so many different ones, and you can chop and change them according to the seasons. You can sort of add a little bit more of something else, take away something else, depending on how you're feeling or whatever imbalance you are going through. Some of the main ingredients of a masala chai, first of all, ginger. So ginger I like to use in fresh form. I tend to grate it directly into my tea. You can use ginger in dry form, which will also be absorbed quite well into the system, but fresh is always, you know, for me it's the best. It has what you call scraping qualities. It's pungent and bitter, and so it really gets rid of the toxins in the body. So I always suggest combining a little bit of ginger with warm water and lemon in the morning, which is a great start to the day, because that helps to flush out your system. And that's exactly what we need to begin our day. So that's one of the components of a authentic masala chai. Then we have a few other things, which, you know, people like to chop and change, but I like to add a little bit of cinnamon bark in mine. So I'm just going to show you that close up. There we go. Yeah. So this is cinnamon bark. Now, what cinnamon does is it, apart from it having sweet notes, so we relate cinnamon to things like, you know, if you think of something like apple pie, something sweet, it does have that quality of sweetness to it. What it also does is it stabilizes the blood sugar levels and it aids in circulation. So that's really good for people who have water retention and things. And this is something that you can even just boil on its own and drink this throughout the day. And this will just relieve you and help you to, like, for your whole body and your system inside to start circulating a little bit better. Then we have cardamom. So green cardamom, if you can see that, is that good? Yes? Yeah, green cardamom. Okay, so green cardamom pods, obviously they have the seeds inside, but when we make a masala chai, we use the entire pod. Now, cardamom for me has these sweet and pungent notes as well. And what it does is it actually relieves acidity. It's really good for relieving acidity, and also the production of mucus. So if you're suffering from, that's why it's very interesting, because in winter I tend to use this a lot more, because, you know, we tend to suffer from a lot of mucus buildup, colds, coughs. What cardamom does is it really helps us to sort of bring that down. And it has been said that cardamom is an antidepressive. So it's great for our mental health too, just like all of these spices. I mean, if you just look at all the colors and the beautiful if you can smell them, the aromas, and look at the colors, this already makes you feel so much better. So cardamom is one of those spices that it's called a happy spice. It does lift your mood, and it's something that I think there's a reason why we add this to our masala chai, and you know, we're so happy after drinking a cup of that. So we have cardamom there. We also have saffron. Okay, so saffron, as you can see, are the stamens of flowers, right? A little goes a long way with saffron. And for us in Ayurveda, this is something that we definitely include in some of our teas or milk decoctions for immunity. It definitely boosts immunity. So this is something that you don't need to use in excess, but it definitely has a very lasting effect. So there is one immunity tea that I do make. It's a milk-based one, and that is definitely something that we need to have in our system very, very often now, especially in the times that we are in. So I would suggest you do have some saffron around the house. Cloves, as maybe some of you know, are pain relievers. Okay, so these little things are great, especially if you have toothaches, any pain in the mouth region or gums. These are things, you know, you just pop it in the side of your mouth and it just relieves the pain instantly. So sometimes we add this to our tea as well. We also add rose petals. So I'm not sure if you can see the rose petals here. I can just bring this up to the camera a little bit closer. Rose petals also have beautiful aromatic qualities. They are also mood enhancers too. They make you feel a lot better. They're cooling, they're calming. So adding a few rose petals in your tea is also a great idea. I will be showing you one of my versions of a masala chai next week, but just for you to have an idea of the spices that I have here. And last but not least, I have ajwain here. Ajwain, or caraway seeds as they're called, are great pain relievers as well. They relieve bloating, flatulence, gas, just like a lot of all these other spices. And it just gives you a little bit of warmth as well. If you need to kickstart your Agni, this also helps if you add this to your masala tea, especially for kaphas like me who need that extra kick. This is something that I do, and I combine it with black pepper pods. But that is something that is quite warming and quite heating. So if you are pitta again, you need to be a little bit careful of how you use that. You must use it in moderation. This also is great for relieving colic in babies. So what we do is when the babies are really tiny, we get little pouches, we heat the little pouch with the ajwain in it, and you just rub it on the tummy of the baby, and that automatically soothes a stomach. For adults, you would do the same, but you would just maybe cook it down in some water and drink that water, and that relieves you instantly. So, you know, I could go on and on about the world of spices, because for me, this is my world. And if you don't know me very well, I would just tell you that I started my journey, my path on the world of spices a few years ago, where I wrote my cookbook based on spices. I teach classes based on spices, and this is something that I feel is so key, again, not just for nutrition, but for our mental health and well-being. I mean, just mixing up some spices and just throwing it into something will automatically boost your mood. It's like, you know, I consider my spice box as like my first aid kit. So whenever there's anything going wrong, and if I need something to uplift me, just go in there, you know, figure it out, throw in some spices, and you will feel better automatically. So I do hope that this is an introduction onto your path of the world of spices. And you know, let's start using these a lot more. I think we will all benefit from them. We can share this knowledge with so many people. It will help all of us, especially in these tough times right now, to really you know, make ourselves feel better and healthier inside and out. And mind, body, spirit, all of that is so connected, and all of this will help us get there. So till next time, with lots more recipes coming up, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye.